6 minutes past 8 on this Thursday morning's OTB AM with myself and Johnny Ward. It's time to talk Gaelic games because a huge weekend in the Connacht Senior Football Championship. We've got both semi-finals, Sligo and New York, of course, on Saturday, and then we've got Galway against Roscommon in the Hyde on Sunday afternoon. Delighted to be joined by the former Roscommon goalkeeper Shane Curran and the former Galway sharpshooter Michael Meehan on the show this morning. Morning, lads. How are things?
Good, Shane.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning, Michael. How are you?
Hi, Shane.
Thanks for joining us, lads. We I just wanted to briefly touch on
the pleasantries out of the way. It was very coerced out of the lads.
Exactly. Yeah. We'll get the boxing gloves on now in a second. First of all, Sligo winning the Connacht Under-20 Football Championship, defending their title last night in Tuam. Lads scoring the last few points of the match to nick it by a point. 14 points to 13 over Galway. Points scored deep into injury time from Dylan Walsh. Heartbreak for Galway. And Michael, it's changing the shape of Connacht football possibly over the next few years, is it?
Yeah, to be fair to Sligo, they've had a lot of success this year already at underage with their schools, Summerhill making the Home Cup final, and again last night. Now I didn't get to see it. I was training underage girls myself at home with my own little one. But I suppose if you think back to their senior success at provincial level over the years, that was just kind of hither and thither. Now they're sort of building something maybe from the bottom up. So yeah, they seem to be going about things the right way. So the rest of us have to kind of keep an eye on things. That said, Galway have been very successful and very competitive at this level for a number of years. And Roscommon in bits as well have been in and out of it there. So it's good to see Connacht teams typically when they get into the All-Ireland series at under-20 level can represent the province very well, so we'll wish them well at this stage.
These underage girls, by the way, are you like an absolute icon, or do they even remember you playing?
Oh, geez, no. This is my daughter's team here, under 6, 7 and 8 in Caltra, Johnny.
You're just some outlet then.
Embarrassing dad, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. Embarrassing dad.
Hashtag embarrassing dads, yeah.
But it's got to be done, I suppose.
It's got to be done for sure, and listen, keep her lit with that as well, because the future is bright, no doubt, in Caltra. We should get into the game this weekend, lads, on Sunday, and look, Sligo fans might think, and New York fans as well, that we're bypassing them, but realistically we do want to focus on the Galway Roscommon match at the Hyde on Sunday afternoon. Shane, Roscommon's last championship win over Galway in the Hyde, 1990, so it's been a while.
It's quite a time ago, but then all these hoodoos are there to be broken. I think that's one of the great things about sport. I think we hadn't beaten Galway and Mayo in the championship in the same year up until 2019, in almost 20 years as well, and we've now probably been more successful in Castlebar against Mayo than we have been at home. So all these things change, and that being said, we're up against the Galway team that are huge favourites, if you go by the bookies, and they're very seldom wrong, and correctly so. I mean, any team that's coming back off been league finalists, they've also been All-Ireland finalists last year, and probably should have won the game, and we're very close to winning it. So Roscommon will notwithstanding the fact that we had a great win against Mayo, we'll go into the game as huge underdogs. Galway major favourites, and a couple of question marks over some of our players as well in terms of injury. So those are things that are all going to play out on the day. I suppose, when you look at Galway, the amount of quality they have, like even off the bench, Killian McDade probably won't start. It's probably unlikely that Damien Comer will start as well. So there are two players, household names, that Galway can call off the bench. We certainly don't have that depth just yet, but are working towards it. And we'd be hoping for kind of similar to Mayo, that we can control the game, we can keep the game tight and competitive, and maybe then let loose in the last 10 minutes. But it's going to be a big ask, and looking out at the weather here this morning, I think the weekend has promised good, so maybe the environmental issues that we had against Mayo may not be as persuasive to us kind of killing the game. But then you don't know, all these championship matches take a life of their own at certain stages as well. If we can be as good in front of goal as we were the last day and just take our chances and have something to build on, well then the game could go to the wire.
Yeah, it's your proper words of purity there, killing the game and controlling the game. And I must ask you, Shane, how important is it that Roscommon start well, because we saw against Mayo, like if Galway happened to say get an early goal, it would be 3 or 4 points up after 10 minutes. You know, they've been warned about the way Roscommon play. Would you have any faith that Roscommon could come back into game, or do they need to kind of, as you say, control the narrative early on and get ahead?
I think when you're underdogs and you're at home, especially, I think controlling the game is imperative, you know. And if you can get one thing we have quality, not to downplay our chances or anything like that, but we have quality forwards, and we've had them for quite some time. I think, you know, in the brothers Smith and Murta are well known, and Conor Cox indeed has come off the bench, and now Ben O'Carroll is adding to that as well. Mm-hmm. So, you know, controlling the game for Roscommon is key. I think if you're even in the modern game, if you're chasing it, you spend so much energy chasing it that it can have a debilitating effect on you towards the end of matches. And generally, the teams that are the stronger players are on the middle third. When you're trying to see out games, they will do that. And in our case, I think that for us to get the crowd up, have the crowd on our side, have a kind of a cauldron-like atmosphere in the Hyde, if we can get off to the start with a goal maybe, and certainly control the ball around the middle of the field, which will be difficult with Galway's quality, then it gives you a fighting chance. And you know, I think Davy Burke has alluded to it in many of his interviews that it's fierce important now that Roscommon get out of time that we did in the league, the yo-yo element of up and down, but also now the championship, embracing the privilege of pressure, which comes with these matches, and being consistent at this level. You know, I think we can probably now look at the Gaelic football season has been almost 3 competitions. So you have the league to start. In the middle now we have the provincial championships, and then I suppose the real comp then starts with the All-Ireland series. But a win for Roscommon on Sunday can't be kind of downplayed either, because the carrot is huge at the end of it. It means you probably miss out on the top 6 of Division 1 teams if results go the way in the provinces, which is expected, and 1 or 2 maybe of the other favourites like Dublin. So it's a huge Philip, for us to try and beat Galway. You're almost in an All-Ireland quarter-final if you can do that. And that's the sort of pressure that maybe in the past we raised. We got to a kind of a glass ceiling with Connacht, and we couldn't get any further in the Super 8s, and a couple of bad beatings and things like that, and confidence ebbs away. So there's a lot riding on Sunday's game, and for Roscommon, they'll have to kind of seek in back-to-back performances in the championship like they did in 2019, and see then can they win a Connacht Championship.
Michael, I'm intrigued to hear the cute comments coming out of Roscommon here already. Huge underdogs, major favourites. Galway, are you going along similar lines to Shane?
Absolutely not. And I'll point out as well that I think Roscommon came from 4 points down in the league in Pearse Stadium a couple of months ago to win by a point. They finished with the last 5 scores, if I'm not mistaken. So, you know, that'll be drawn back in dressing room chat, and they'll be recalling that as well if they need to this week. I think, you know, Roscommon pose a huge threat. It's they're a very strong side. They're probably got the start they wanted in the league that allowed them to build towards championship in Connacht. They got their wins early. They secured their Division 1 status early. And maybe that allowed them just to kind of stick to plan A, which was, you know, achieve that. Everything else may be a bonus, but look towards. They knew at that stage they were going to be playing Mayo, and if they were to get over that, followed by Galway, and before they could even get to a provincial final. So I think they are where they want to be. I think they're a very dangerous position from a Galway perspective coming into Sunday. Confidence would be very high. They're at home, and I know there is an issue with their record there, but you know, it'll be packed to the rafters. There'll be a majority home crowd there, and you know, Galway will have to be on their game.
What's the vibe in Galway, Michael, about the way that Pádraig has trained them this year? Because it's such for the coaching sort of in terms of S&C and workload, it must be quite complex with the championship structure this season to know when to peak and so on.
Yeah, and I'm guessing Galway have had, as every county, but Galway would have been operating off a similar model whereby, you know, the league and the league final in the end, I can't imagine that took priority. You know, once that was within striking distance, I still would feel that in the past, you know, teams would have maybe said, okay, we're heading towards the league final now. We need to back off on the heavy training and we'll keep the legs fresh because there's a chance of glory here. I'd imagine now the planning is very definitively towards whatever the plan was set out in January or December. And to my mind, that is, you know, kickstarting from now and hopefully rolling through the summer. As Shane said, there's a phenomenal amount of games coming up in Connacht and beyond that. So my guess is that, you know, that's where you're looking towards and trying to bring into hitting the ground running, you know, around now. I felt in the league final, certainly we didn't hit the ground running early on, and that's probably cost the game or left us along with a lot of work to make up. So that's a couple of weeks ago now. I know they were away for 5 or 6 days in Portugal. So you'd be hoping they're a bit more primed now to start strong on Sunday, because they're going to need to.
Cian Johnson does a bit of work with us on stats and analysis, and he's been pointing out as well, Shane, that Roscommon's kickouts have been a massive part of their game, and certainly you noticed that against Mayo and Castlebar. They went along with 13 of 18 kickouts against Mayo and scored 1-4 off them. So how do you expect Roscommon to approach it this time? Will they go for the same approach? Is it weather dependent, or how do you think they'll fare there?
Well, I think very much so. There's a conundrum, I suppose, here with Galway, in that I think Galway probably have the strongest middle eight in the country, and certainly the men mountains. I mean, if you look at the midfield, Paul Conroy and Young Maher or Killy McDale, whoever starts, you have Peter Cook around there, you have Johnny Heaney, you've got guys who can dominate the ball in the air. Mayo's midfield isn't really, you know, of the quality that Galway have. They're very strong runners, all right, but they're not fielders. And I suppose when Galway look at this match, they will be targeting Inda Smith and Keith Doyle in the middle of the field for us. Going long, if we're not winning the ball, going short has proved to be problematic. When Mayo pressed us the last day, we looked like we could turn over ball relatively easy. And, you know, we don't really have the dynamic ball carriers. David Murray's brilliant supporting the ball going forward, but not necessarily bringing it out. And the same with Conor Daly and Conor Hussey. They're very good to support the ball, but bringing it out can prove problematic at times. And I think Davy Burke has said he's thought out, get the ball out into the mix around the middle third. If you lose it, at least it's a long way to go. If you win it, you have the bonus of kicking it in or getting first phase possession into really good forwards. But against this Galway outfit, it's a different kind of story, and they're just really, really good around the middle third, and you know, you can't get away from that when you go to analyse Galway and you say, well, where are their weak spots? There isn't that many of them, certainly in terms of physicality and winning that first phase possession. And, you know, the league form, the league final, really, truly, you could argue they were by far the better team outside of the young Reed making numerous saves for Mayo. They could have won that league final by 7, 8, 9 points. And Shane Walsh had an off day maybe from freeze. You wouldn't expect that to happen again. And he's one of the players around the country, one of the top players in the country that you go to see and watch, and that's a problem for us at the moment. You know, you take the positives out of the Mayo performance, surely, without a doubt. But I think Galway will be targeting, if Inda Smith is fit and able to play, they will target Inda, I'm sure. And if Roscommon can't come up with that ball in the middle third, it will cause problems for us, and that's just the reality of the game and the way to play. And if we go short, Galway's ability to press, can we get out by it? So again, it's probably similar for Galway as well. Going short, is Roscommon have been quite good, to be fair, at pressing in the league. They've done very well against Kerry at that. But it's taxing on the legs, and some of our lads, you know, the older lads, the longer the game goes, the harder that gets. Particularly if you're chasing the game, if you have something to fight for, suddenly you find that energy. But if you haven't, it can be problematic.
I have to bring Michael in there. Galway could have won the league final by 7, 8 or 9 points. I definitely wasn't at the same league final, but I think maybe we had about 12 goal chances to miss. The one thing, Michael, though, in the game in Pearse Stadium you referenced, obviously Shane wasn't playing and Damien Coleman went off after 10 minutes. Killy McDade's come back in now from the league as well, so you would think that Galway shouldn't really have the quality sort of that Roscommon forwards maybe don't have Sunday.
Yeah, Killian McDade, I'm not sure. There isn't a lot of talk, one way or the other about him, and he's missed a lot of time now, so I'm not sure how he's fixed.
He was a huge loss in league final, wasn't he?
He is, yeah. He's a huge loss. He's a massive player in that middle eight that Shane referenced. Just the pace and power he can go at. He can add. He adds scores. He gives assists, but he's going to work back and protect the back as well. But you'd hope, yeah. Like I suppose what Galway need is a return to form or fitness of their key players from last year's All Ireland run. You mentioned them there, Shane and Damien up front, Rob Finnerty up front as well. He's had a stop-start league with injury as well. Like they were massive for us, as anyone will remember who watched the Galway games last year. They're the scorers. They're the lads who will knock defences. We're going to have a very, very cagey affair the next day. I would hope a goal happens early for someone. I think it would open the game up a little bit. If it doesn't happen early, we are going to have a very, very tight first half, I would feel. And that whatever might happen in the second half, it could open up. But a goal like that could be decisive. So Galway have those players. I have to say the likes of a Ben O'Carroll, the Sunday dry sod is going to suit that guy a lot more. He was very slippery when he came on in Pearse Stadium. I saw him thread over one, if not two, sweet points. So there's a lot of kind of matchups that are going to be picked out and studied this week by the management teams. Damien Comer and Shane Walsh, if they're on form, or if they're on the pitch, I suppose. There's going to be a little bit of chess being played early on. So I as I said, I'd love a few early scores just for the punters watching on to see the two teams maybe draw them out a little bit sooner than they might naturally. If it's tight, it's probably going to be tight into the second half.
What was the narrative at home, Michael, about the game in Castlebar? Because it was bad in isolation, but to contrast it then with what we had between Monaghan and Tyrone is this is Gaelic football at its absolute best in terms of drama and scores. And there were probably people in Roscommon who felt they didn't get the credit they deserved, but it wasn't exactly great football to watch, obviously.
No, it wasn't, but the conditions were horrific.
Yeah.
From talking to a few people who were there, and you kind of have to factor that in, no matter what you say. And there was chances like Mayo stinging the crossbar early on. Things could have changed, but I think the resolve and there's a lot made of a couple of the pictures of the Roscommon players. The unity in their back line. When they turned over Mayo ball and things like that. There was a lot. There was a no yielding feel to it as you watched it go on. And yes, they got to score crucial scores at the right time. And that's what inevitably just gave them more confidence, maybe sapped Mayo's energy a little bit or sapped Mayo's belief. And it just fed into it. But they were very, very good for it. And even though there was times when Conor Carroll at the back was being pressed and it was looking a little bit scary, Mayo were putting them under that pressure, they still just rode it out and they finished and they kicked on and they finished with a couple of scores strong. Cox off the bench, again, he's going to be a dangerous man if he's in the fray at whatever stage in the game the next day. So they were good for that. I think they needed it a little bit more than Mayo. I don't know, but I think it sets us up nicely for a big game this weekend. Davy Burke has been very refreshing as well in what he's brought to the league so far, and whether he has a surprise up his sleeve for what Galway want to do, who knows? But we're in for a good game, and I hope with the weather, a couple of early scores, and just see let's give us something good to watch.
Yeah, love the comment in from John here. Shane Curran, well drilled by Davy Burke for this interview. I have to say, I'm going along similar lines to Michael. I hope it's not a 9-8 like the league. I hope it's a good quality game of football. But regardless, lads, very briefly, prediction time. Michael, we'll start with yourself. Who's going to win and roughly by how much?
If Galway are going to win, it's going to be, we're going to see the players that we expect to play well. Play first of all and play well and lead them. I remember Shane scored a spectacular goal here in the same fixture last year, and was solid from play as well. So I think I'm assuming that Galway have their main men on the ground and they're fit and fresh. I think we'll squeeze over the line by a couple of scores, 2 points. But if there's no Damien Comer, if there's no Killian McDade, if Shane Walsh isn't influential in the game, then it goes the other way.
Shane, what about yourself?
I'm sure it's hard to argue with Michael's synopsis there, to be fair. I think the two best players we've had, the two best players in the league for either team will fill both pivotal positions on Sunday. Sean Kelly for Galway and Brian Stack for Roscommon at fullback and centre back respectively. I think if we can get the matchups right, I'm not so sure if Conor Daly will pick up Shane Walsh or Brian Stack will pick him up, and who picks up Donny Smith maybe will have an influence as well for Roscommon. The heart says Roscommon, obviously. The head would say, look, Galway are the better team. Galway are the team that have been in All Irelands. Galway are the team that have the design on All Irelands. Galway are the team that are Paddy Power's huge favourites for the game. But as I said, these games take on a life of their own. And should Roscommon give the supporters the opportunity to get behind the team in the Hyde, well, then a narrow victory can ensue for Roscommon. But it will be dependent on all of the players striving for that level of consistency that's required, and I think if we get that, we'll have a great game. And look, I think the conditions and the environment did play a huge part, as Michael alluded to there, in the Mayo game, and the quality of it. Both teams here have got quality players, and let's just hope that the day is a good day, and we see the best of them, and I think we will. And Roscommon to kind of just get over the line, maybe by a point or two, should all be well.
Yeah, you take that. Listen, lads, great stuff. Looking forward to the match. Enjoy it.
I'm none the wiser as to who either of them fancies, actually. They went from, like, I'm saying such and such, but actually, what will they say in the dressing room if I say this?
Yeah.
I don't know. Once a player, always a player. Like. Anyway.
Great stuff, lads. Thanks a million for that this morning.
Okay, boys. Good luck.
Brilliant stuff. Michael Meehan there, former Galway.
What a great... He did use
Shane
the
Curran,
word.
of course.
He said great fillet, and he said fillet by mistake. He was a fillet of a footballer, a fillet, or whatever you want to call it. What a player, like. And
footballer.
Now, passing on the knowledge to... the underage girls in Caltra.
100%. That game, 4 o'clock Sunday, and then of course we'll know who they'll face in the Connacht final before that, because Saturday 2:30 Markievicz Park is Sligo against New York in the other semi-final, the first semi-final that is. Now 8:28 a.m. on this Thursday morning.